What's up, everyone? This is Return to Tennis. I'm your host, Aaron. Thanks for returning. We have another vintage racket day for you. This time, something else. Last episode, we dealt with like the most flexible rackets we've ever hit with the Rossinals. Well, today we're going to hit one of the stiffest rackets from that era, the Yamaha. Now, I've got three different rackets, but the first one that I want to talk about is the iconic Yamaha Secret 04. Came across this one in another Yamaha while I was out traveling for work stuff. The frame itself is not in bad shape, just needs some cleaning. The strings need restrung. The strings are in bad shape, but we're not going to restring it. I don't see myself being able to play this racket. I'm going to find it to be far too heavy. And it's supposed to be, I've read the RA as being as high as 80, which would make it the stiffest racket I've ever hit. So we're going to see how it goes, but this was like a really popular racket for Yamaha at that time period. A lot of people were really into the Secret 04. I believe there were some pros that played it, possibly Yannick Noah played the Yamaha 04 Secret. The Secret had a whole line of rackets. They had the 02, the 04, 06, 08, the 10, the 10-2. I believe there was a Secret 22, a Secret 05, and 07. You had the Secret 110 EX, which is what Gabriele Sabatini played. They had an entire line of frames designated as the Secret series. This was one of the more popular ones. We were lucky to find this down south when we were traveling. So we're going to get out today, see how stiff is it really? Does it really feel that stiff? The other one we came across down there, another one we will not be restringing, is the Yamaha Bronze 90 ceramic series. I don't know too much about this racket. It's not much out there. I do know that the grommets on it are very bad. I actually have a loose grommet right there. That's why we're not restringing it. I'm not sure how well the grommets will hold up. It also has this the Yamaha Add Balance system here. This piece is meant to shift and be movable. Like you can shift the balance further down the edge of the rack. It has one on each side. I'm not sure how it works, and I'm kind of hesitant to try to move it. Being as old as it is, I'm afraid it might break. So we're just going to leave it where it is and just kind of get a feel for how the racket comes through the air, comes through the ball. Fairly heavy, again. Not sure on the specs. Of course, they didn't put specs on these frames back then. But maybe we'll get on the scale with them before we go out and see what they weigh. We do have one more today that I actually did not pick up down south. I picked this one up online because it was different than my others. It is a Yamaha Resonance EX97S. I have two other Resonance EX97s. They're the yellow, coral, and blue. They're one of my all-time favorite rackets. Absolutely gorgeous cosmetic. Plays really well. Actually feels very much like a modern racket for something that was made back in the 90s. This one is different. It's all black, as you can see, and it's an EX97S. And the issue I have is I don't know what the S stands for. What made this one different than the standard EX97? When it comes to weight, they are very similar. They're within a couple of grams of each other. I don't know if the S stood for stiff or soft or special. So if anybody out there is familiar with this line of rackets, the EX97s, and can tell me what the S stood for in relation to the standard EX97, I'd love to hear it. I did restring this one. I just put a standard string in it. It's a cheap poly. I can't remember brand. It's out of Germany. But it's not a bad string. I put it in several of my other frames. Plays decent. So we're going to get out and hit these three today and see how it goes. And we'll shoot downstairs and maybe we'll get some weights on them before we go. We'll see you on the courts. Okay, guys, here we go. We are starting off with the Secret 04. We actually warmed up with the Rossinal F200 in the green cosmetic, which is the lightest Rossinal F200 carbon you can get. It's about 341 grams, but it's only about like 2 points head light, with a really small head at 82 square inches, and it's, you know, just a little hard to swing. But this, on the other hand, is the complete opposite feeling. The Secret 04 is a much stiffer frame than anything else that I've hit recently. Easy power, easy depth on the ball. The sweet spot felt big for the head size. And it was just, I mean, outside of it being so stiff, it was a really nice racket to hit. It was a completely other end of the spectrum compared to the Rossinol, because this one came in very head light, but very stiff, and actually swung much easier, even though it was 20 grams heavier. I did get a weight on it. It's 361 grams in stock form, with leather grip and strings, topped out at 361. I can see why this was a popular racket. It feels incredibly easy to come through the ball with this racket. Very comfortable, no vibration, generous sweet spot, just a very solid feeling stick. I wish it wasn't so heavy. I would actually consider restringing this and playing it. It's impressive. I would probably say this is more impressive than my Resonance EX97, which I love. Like I said, easy power, easy depth, but still has a fair amount of control. I think it's about a 95 square inch head. It still boasts a lot of control despite the power that I'm getting out of it. It was really, really impressive. This was one of those rackets that when it hit the market, it made the big guys a little nervous. Companies like Wilson, companies like Head, they were nervous about this frame. The Secret line was a very popular line, and the 04, I would have to say, must be their flagship. Ultra comfortable. I was really, really impressed. I would love to have a model of this at like 340 grams. I don't know if that exists, but man, it's just so, it feels so effortless. Like, and I didn't even really notice the weight, but I did notice the stiffness from the very first ball I hit. My first thought was, wow, this is stiff. Very first ball off the backhand side, I could tell it was a massively stiff racket, but it hits incredibly clean. If you're able to come across one of these, if you see one, pick it up. It is a great hitting experience. Just felt very confident hitting this racket. My arm, not so much. Like I may feel that tomorrow. That's gonna top it out. That's the Secret. Again, this is closing it out. This is the Secret 04. And it is fantastic.
04.
Grip needs replaced. So we're moving on to the Bronze 90. Ceramic. So as much as I loved how the 04 felt, this was in the exact opposite experience. This is a 90 square inch racket, and for a 90, the sweet spot felt smaller than the head size. would call for. It would have a very small sweet spot. Again, stiff. I wouldn't say it's as stiff as the 04, but just not impressive for me at all. It was quite the opposite, like literally. Not a lot of depth, not a lot of power, small sweet spot for the head size. Didn't really give me the same. I would expect better control with it because it's a smaller frame. I didn't feel like I had better control with this racket. It just was a huge disappointment after hitting the Secret 04. Maybe I should hit this one first, because I was really struggling with this racket to really kind of generate pace, to generate control. I just couldn't get it dialed in, and it was a huge letdown after having hit the Secret 04. I don't know what else I could say about it. It's nice to have in the collection, but I under no circumstances would want to hit this on a regular basis. This will stay in storage with a bunch of other rackets, and it will probably never be brought out again. Just massively disappointed. Could not. I mean, this thing actually weighs 367 grams. That's stock leather grip strings, 367. So it's heavier than the 04, but it does not come through the air as clean. It is not as easy to swing. It really lacks in the power department. Just not, like, could not get this racket dialed in. It felt, I'm not sure what the balance is on this one. It feels like it's got more head weight in the head than the 04. But it felt sluggish coming around. Now that could, I mean, the weight probably has something to do with that. But the balance is definitely, it feels more heavy than the 04 does, because the 04 felt easy to pull around despite its weight. But this was not fun. I would get some of them here and there. They felt okay, but not anything that I really hit and was like, yeah, that wasn't bad. Just right, see, just there. It feels like the minute I try to increase the swing speed a little bit, that the ball just doesn't come off the racket well. If I just hit it with just a mid pace, it's fine. But even then, I'm not a great stick. I can't imagine this was a popular seller. I could be wrong. I mean, the thing's probably 40 years old. But I can see why they went away from this line and moved towards the Secret series. Because this is not it. Not it. Back to storage it goes permanently.
Ceramic series.
So the last one today, the Resonance EX97S. Now, one of my all-time favorite rackets, as I said earlier, is the Resonance EX97, which is the neon yellow with the blue and coral accents. This one is completely black, except for the white Yamaha logos. The 97S, it is a completely different feeling frame in comparison to the EX97. The S feels less stiff. I will say that. It is less stiff. But it feels like it lacks power. It doesn't have the same kind of pop on it. It doesn't seem to have the same stability as the EX97. The S version seems to not handle vibration as well. It seems a little less dense and solid than the yellow 97. Just, you know, not as impressive as the EX 97. The S version in the black, it feels like it's missing out. It's missing some things in terms of stability, in terms of power, in terms of comfort. It's not lighter. It's 337 grams. My EX97s, both of them are sitting around 335 or 336, so they're close. The weight is about the same, but the level of comfort, the amount of depth I can get out of it, and power is not equivalent to the others. So this is another one, you know, I would never swap this out for one of my yellow, coral, and blue EX97s. This will be another Yamaha that will stay on the shelf, just because it's not impressive. The EX97s are great. The Secret 04 was massively impressive. Like I said, I would love to find one of those in a lighter weight. I do know that Yamaha had a tendency to make the same racket in a series of different weights. And if I could find one in the lighter weight versions, I would snatch it up, because it was a really nice feeling, even though it's pretty stiff. I've seen RAs for the Secret 04 listed anywhere from the mid 70s or low 70s all the way up to 80, which, yeah, it's definitely over 70 plus, and I could see it being 80. It was pretty stiff. This one, on the other hand, was not that stiff. It was probably the most flexible of the group. The X97S just, it lacked comfort. It lacked that feeling of solidity, that denseness to it. It had a little bit of that hollow feeling I've talked about on other frames, that the standard EX97 doesn't have. The standard, the yellow one, it feels solid, it feels stable, it feels comfortable. It's stiff. It's stiffer than this, but, you know, you're getting more out of the racket. This one feels like it's really a little off by comparison. It's not bad. It's just, when compared to the standard EX97, it falls quite a bit short. Compared to the Secret 04, it falls greatly short. That one's a bad ball. In any case, guys, this will be our last vintage racket video for a while. We have some more frames we'll be reviewing soon. We're moving away from these late 80s, early 90s frames. We're going to get something a little closer to modern. A couple Wilsons coming up. I've got a Yonex on the way, and I finally scored one I've been trying to get. And here very soon I will be shooting some reviews, some play testing of some really brand new rackets that are not available here in the US. Until then, we'll see you.